Well, welcome to a another episode of Light Vision Art Q&A. I am your humble host, Alfonso Ashworth, and of course, we've got a show that's lined up for you today. I think that you're going to enjoy. We're going to be talking about how to price your work, how to price your services. Are you pricing yourself out of business? Are you competitive? Or are you just someone waiting for the next great camera or the next great idea to come along? But we're gonna do that. I've got my trusty sidekick in the room or on air with us today on the panel. Of course, Claudia Richardson. She's been with the program pretty much from day one. And she's always helpful, and she's got great commentary. Of course, you are listening to and looking at Light Vision Art Q&A, The Educated Eye. It's part of a program that we do on Saturday mornings from 10 to 11. If you would like to be a part of the program, that's easy. You can come in and chat with us, or you can get in on our live view. You can email me, or you can call the number that we will post very soon. Either way, you can become a part of the panel, or you can become a part of the program itself. Of course, we do a series called the Dark Room in Use series. It's part of what we do. It's part of the very foundation of what we talk about on the show. But of course, if you would like to get with me and hear me on the radio. Um, I'm part of a network called Urban Family Talk Communications. The program that I am a guest host on is Line Chasers Radio with Lonnie Poindexter. You can find me there during the weekdays. I'm his guest host on the show. So chime in, find us there at urbanfamilytalk.com. Look for Line Chasers Radio with Lonnie Poindexter. If you would like to be a part of my classroom, we do a series called Light Vision Art, The Educated Eye. We've had many photographers that have been a part of that program. You get your workbook, you get your material, and I can see that Jeff Coleman has also come into to the program. Welcome, Jeff. Of course, if you become part of that, you get in the classroom. You can be a part of my group classes, 16-week classes, or you can be a part of a private class. Either way, you get the material that you need to help you become a better photographer. And of course, if you need great lenses, if you need Canon lenses and need to rent those lenses, we recommend WeBe Lenses. Of course, Jim and Marion Young, who are a part of our guild group. I'll be talking about that in just a minute. We've got a group coming up soon. We're going to be meeting in Lebanon, Tennessee. But of course, you can be a part of any of those programs that I just mentioned. But let me show you what you can do. You can go to our websites. Go to Wilson County Photography Guild. Of course, if you go to Wilson County Photography Guild, the website, you can check out our members directory. You can join us at our meetings. You can find out members' photos, calendars about us. We meet every Monday, first Monday of the month. And if you're fortunate, your photograph may get voted to be the photograph of the month, just like we do here. But we're going to be meeting at Panturos in Lebanon, Tennessee on West Main from 6:30 to about 8 is our normal time to get out of there. But come early, come a little bit before 6:30 so you can order food, meet some of the other photographers and be a part of that group. We also promote Christopher E. Hamrick as one of the photographers. He's one of our panelists. I don't know if he's in today, but if not, we'll get Christopher in. Christopher is very, very knowledgeable of the subject, and we like to have him on. You can also find me at Light Vision Art, The Educated Eye, my website. That's lightvisionart.simdiff.com. Go there, look at the photo tips, the free video tips, downloads, images, live streams, you name it. It's on that website. You can also check out our online classes and see if that will fit your needs. If you need photo finishing, you need cards, you need calendars, books, you name it, canvas wraps, gifts, go to customcolorphoto.lifepix.com and we will help you get your printed needs or whatever you need. You can also download our app. Go look at the app, lifepix.com. You can order your prints from your smartphone as well. But we want to welcome you, if you're a viewer today, to the show, Light Vision Art. Of course, I want to bring in one of my trusted guests on the show. How you doing, Claudia?
Good morning, Al.
Good morning. What you up to?
Well, look who I got here right next to me in the chair. Hey, partner. Partner.
Oh,
Look at
there we
his
go.
partner. Partner's looking for a new home.
Oh, okay.
I saw to bring him on.
Did you find the cat? Have you found that cat a home yet?
No, I really haven't started looking.
It looks like that cat's going to be with you for a while.
Yeah, maybe.
That's a long story. And someday maybe Claudia will tell you her adventures on finding that cat in a storm drain on my business property. And she probably could testify. She's not really a cat person, I would say, but she's an animal lover. And she will do anything she can to help any animal. So we'll let Claudia, of course, tell about what she does later. Thank you for coming in this morning. And we'll get you back on in just a minute, okay?
Okay.
Jeff, how you doing, sir?
Good morning.
Good
How
morning.
you doing?
Doing great. You back from your trip? You
Back, survived, and wish we didn't have to leave because it was really beautiful when we were leaving.
Right. I mean, you can't beat the beauty of Tennessee and all that we have to offer, especially at this time of year. The leaves and the fall weather, the cooler temperatures, and you guys were doing such a great job up there with the group that you were with. And of course, we're going to be talking today about how to price the services, prints, and all that stuff that a lot of people ignore. And I know you have a thought on that, and we'll get you back on in just a minute. Of course, I am Alfonso Ashworth. Now, if you want to be a part of the show, that's not hard to do. You can call us at the number on the screen, 615-547-3355. If you know of someone that wants to ask a question on air to myself or my panel, you can call that number, 615-547-3355. So write it down. If you don't call this time, maybe next time, but write the number down. You can also contact me through my email at livevisionart@gmail.com, and we will get you involved to get you on the program. If you would like to be a panelist or you have something to say, we'll be glad to get you on. Of course, we're talking today about how to price your services. I've got a cold, guys, so I'm maybe leaning on you this morning to cover for me. But how to price your services, how to price your or your work, or as a photographer, how do you price what you do? Years ago, when I first got into photography, it wasn't too hard. One, it wasn't that many people doing it as a business. A small town may have 2-3 photographers, and most of the time they shared the load of school photography, weddings, sports. Everybody would sort of share in to the events. I know for a few years I used to do ball teams, little league, Kiwanis, that sort of thing. And I never got into doing schools. That's something I never really wanted to be a part of. We already had a couple of photographers that sort of did that. So I sort of stayed away from that. So I went into weddings, which was quite fascinating at that time. And to give you an idea of what a typical wedding would have cost you, on the low end, probably cost you about $250. On the high end, if you were nothing but a wedding photographer and that's all you did, it would cost you about maybe $1,500, and could go as high as $3,000, depending on who the photographer was and their reputation. We see Christopher E. Hamrick has joined us. I'm going to holler at Chris right quick. Hey, big guy, how's it going, man?
I'm here. It's the morning. You know how I am about mornings.
Yeah, I know how you are about mornings, big guy. But I appreciate you waking up and hanging with us for a few minutes. Of course, we're talking about a touchy topic this morning.
Christmas?
Yeah, Christmas. It's got to do with Christmas, I tell you that, because it's got, you can get a bag of coal or you can get your favorite bicycle when you start talking about pricing your work in photography, especially in today's market. How do you price your services? How do you price your prints? And some people sell knowledge. I mean, there's a lot of people out there selling information. So it's not so much that you are, you have a product, but you may just have a lot of information to share with other people. So that's what we have. And what you been up to, big guy?
Oh, not much. Just working on teaching the Bible online. So that's really been it for the past week.
Yeah. Teaching is another thing that's big today. Somebody sent me a contact request on Skype and I don't have no idea who they are. But in any case, hey, why don't you call into the show if you're on Skype? And if you can hear the show, 615-547-3355. But we'll be chiming in with you, big guy. Hang in there. I've got a cold. But what I was saying about weddings, low end, 150. Most people had weddings at their home in the yard. It wasn't a big affair. They didn't last maybe, an hour. You were in there, you shot, you did your images, and you were done. You typically shoot maybe, 5, 6, 7 rolls of film. That may go up to 11 rolls of film, 12 rolls of film, depending on the size of the wedding. And you would maybe have one person helping. You may have an assistant. And you'd go out on a Saturday and go to a church, typically, or someone's home. There was no wedding. If you went to a wedding chapel, you were in Las Vegas or you were in some resort area. There were no wedding chapels like you see everywhere now. There were no wedding event planners. There were no wedding event places. Now everybody's turned their farm into a wedding or an event facility. So it's quite different. But we're talking about how to price yourself and not price yourself out of the market, or how to be competitive with other individuals in a very huge market today when it comes to photography. And that market is very crowded. I mean, it's everywhere you look. I see new business cards. I see new websites. I see new services, everything that ranges from mini packages and mini sessions. And, every mom, mothers with cameras as MWACs is what I think they used to call mothers with cameras. And I get a lot of students today who all they want to do is learn how to take pictures of their children. Right? That's what they'll come to me for. They'll say, look, I got this camera. I want to just take pictures of my children and my grandchildren. But then all of a sudden they learn a little bit. Then they want to turn that into a full-time business. So next time I see them, they got a logo, they got their cards printed, they have a website, and they're out there competing for the sports market. So pricing is very important. Now, I'll give you some examples on rates. Typically, if you are someone in the market, you're new, and you're trying to find out, well, what do I charge? How do I charge? I normally tell people to charge by the value of their services or per hour. How would you charge per hour for your time? Then, of course, you have to consider all the intangibles, you know, cost of equipment, wear and tear on the equipment, the insurance. If you don't have insurance, you just somebody just, you know, looking for something to go wrong and, you know, get sued. I was at a shoot Saturday. My light box, we were outside on some people's property, and the wind captured my softbox and sort of blew it over. Well, when you're outside, it's not that dangerous. But if you're inside and it's a crowded room and there's a lot of people around and you got cords on the floor and things, and somebody trip over your equipment, you may be in for just a lawsuit. And people love to sue today. I read a story where a lady is suing Kentucky Fried Chicken for, I think it was like $20 million. She's suing them for $20 million because she said that they did not give her enough chicken. She said the chicken didn't serve enough in the bucket. And it did not look like what was on the advertisement. So she's suing them for mental stress and anguish, and that they ruined her life. And she's a 64-year-old grandmother, and they have ruined her life because KFC lied to her about how much chicken was in the bucket. Now, I couldn't make this stuff up if I tried, Jeff and Claudia and Christopher. Couldn't make it up. And because there are some people out there, that's what they do. They look for opportunities to sue people. And photographers sometimes are very gullible people, like very easy targets, because what they do, they don't have any liability insurance at all. They don't think they need any. They don't think they need any kind of liability insurance. And they're on a shoot, and then a light fixture falls on someone's head, or a camera tripod trips somebody, and they need knee surgery, and they hurt their elbow, and they go to the doctor, and then they talk to their lawyer, and then the next thing you know, you're involved in a lawsuit. So part of your pricing of cost of doing what you do is making sure that you cover your back. Make sure you cover yourself. Of course, Claudia, I want you to jump in. What do you think on this subject of cost of insurance? And you are in a service. You know what I'm talking about. You provide a service, right?
Right. At this point, I actually provide a free service for the rescue. I do not charge them for the dog pictures. at that point, I have not thought about any kind of insurance on my behalf. Probably should insure myself, which I have health insurance for dog bites, right? But I think it's something to really consider, to have insurance, and charge that back to your customers. But where do you start, and how much? Where do you start? I don't have an answer for that.
You need at least $1 million of liability insurance, period. You just do. And it's not going to cost you that much, but you transport, you're involved in transportation. You're involved in dealing with people, like you said, dog bites, all that kind of stuff. Give you a good example of that. I recently talked to a friend of mine who visited, he was in Canada, and he was at a resort, and it was like a tourist area. And when he come out, this lady's dog attacked him, tried to bite him. And so he fell and he broke his kneecap. He's in Canada. It's going to take weeks for him to get any kind of medical attention. So eventually he has to come back here. But $1 million, you got to have at least $1 million of liability figured into what you do, especially if you're dealing with the public. Jeff, what do you think, big guy?
Muted here. Here we go. Are we live? No,
Yeah,
I agree. I've stayed away from, I've had a couple of people ask me to do different things, especially weddings. I hear a lot of horror stories in weddings, especially since, the aiding photography or aiding with Photoshop and things like that. People make me thin, and, I'm not, my picture, your pictures make me look fat, and it's just, it goes on and on and on. And I don't want to deal with that. So, but you gotta cover your career nowadays.
Yeah, you have to cover yourself. And so what I'm getting at is a starting price. If you do provide a service, as Claudia just mentioned, you do have to charge something. I mean, even if it's just to pay your insurance, maybe it's just to cover your insurance. Whatever that may be, depending on what you do. And my low end, what I tell photographers, is at least $50 an hour. That's just me. That you don't have to charge $50 an hour. You can charge $20 an hour, or whatever you want to charge. Look, you can charge minimum wage, whatever you want to charge. That's up to you. But I'm just talking about for what you do as a photographer. That's a good starting point. It's $50 an hour. Now that should cover your insurance. It should cover your, cost of your wear and tear on your material that you got to do. And it should cover most of your daily expense outside of you having to do something special. But Chris, what do you think, big guy? I know you're going to see it a little differently, but shoot away, big guy.
Well, you're right. This is a litigical society. People love to sue. I'm involved in suing somebody as we speak, because it was a David and Goliath story. But this is one reason that I don't do it full time. That even though I got my degree in photography, I don't want to deal with a lot of the hassle that's involved, even down to car insurance. If your car insurance company finds out that you are using your car in a commercial sense without having commercial insurance on it, and somebody hits you just because you're transporting your photography gear to a wedding or something, they can deny the claim. A lot of people don't know that. I mean, and you don't hear it much. Same for, if you were delivering pizzas, or Uber is a big one now, where the insurance companies aren't friendly towards Uber and Lyft quite yet. So, and this is one of the reasons that I left North Carolina, because my friend that was doing this was doing a lot of risky things and not having any insurance whatsoever. And I was just waiting for, a kid to trip over a cord and get clobbered with one of the lights. And so that was one of few reasons that I left that situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And you bring up some good points. And of course, years ago, I was a musician, and I'm still a musician. I'm just not active. And I was playing in a band, and we invested in quite a bit of our own gear. We had a lot of practice gear. Then we had a lot of what you would call stage gear. And so I invested quite a bit of money in some of the equipment, some of my own money. And I had it covered under my home insurance. I thought that would be enough to cover my expenses if something happened to the equipment. Well, we moved the equipment to Nashville to another facility where we practiced. Well, one of the neighbors was working on an automobile and caught the automobile on fire. And when the automobile caught on fire, it caught his place on fire. And it then, of course, got into the place where our equipment was. And it was just one big pile of plastic and cables and everything melted together. So I thought, hey, I'm pretty good. I'm covered. I've got home insurance. Well, what I discovered is what Chris just said. I had transported that equipment and did not notify my insurance company and did not have a rider to cover it away from the home. So ultimately, they only paid me like 10% of the value of the gear. So needless to say, that's why I started this topic with make sure you have your legal house in order. No matter what you do, you need at least $1 million liability insurance. And in today's world, that may not be enough. With pain and suffering, and as Christopher just said, you hit somebody's kid over the head with something, and I'm telling you, you're going to pay by the time the doctors get through with you, and by the time that they get through with you, and all this stuff with pain and suffering, it's going to be more than $1 million. But Jeff, you may not run into this as often because of the kind of photography you do. You're more of a lone wolf a lot of times because you like to get out and just nature and things of that sort. But you still open to something happening, and maybe somebody that's walking through a path, and you got your tripod set up nearby, and they stumble over your tripod and knock a tooth out, hit a rock and knock a tooth out. Well, it was your tripod and it was in their way.
Yeah.
And so even with that, I would still say you need some liability for that, even away from your home or your business. Because I've got insurance for business. I got insurance for home. I got insurance on equipment. I've got insurance on liability if my equipment hurts someone or harms somebody. And it's not that you may never have to use it, but boy, oh boy, if you don't have it, what do you say?
Yeah, I wonder about some of that stuff. I've never thought about it like that, but you think, well, a tree doesn't sue you, but if that tree falls on you and the insurance company declares that you're out there doing that as a business, then it could deny your health claims. I mean, I heard a different scenario here just while we were on our trips. I was talking with one of my friends, and his neighbor set his burning some leaves and set a utility building on fire, which ended up burning a fence around his pool. and he had some chickens in the yard. And that insurance company found out he had chickens in the yard, and they declared that utility building that it was like a barn, and they wouldn't pay for him.
Right.
So that's how they could twist things around. But
yeah,
if the other thing I wonder about, and it's a little bit different twist, but these cameras and lenses and all this stuff, equipment we're carrying around, it costs a lot of money, and what insurance will cover that? So, do you need a separate rider for all of that? I know that B&H and a couple of them sell insurance like that, and I kind of wonder about that. Do I need an extra rider or something on my equipment?
Yeah, I would say so, and especially if you're not in the business of it, and maybe the company you deal with is offering you that as a service. It's not a bad idea, especially if it's reasonable, because even though, like Claudia said, you said you do it for free, but as we know, free is not free. Am I right? You with me, Claudia?
I'm with you. Yes, it's not free. That's right.
Yeah.
But I still see it as a hobby. I got my paying daytime job, and I still see it as a hobby. And I have not done any family portraits or anything like that where I would have thought, I think I need to charge.
Yeah.
So far, it was good cause.
Yeah.
And it's my part of it. I don't donate a lot of money. I rather spend my time doing it.
Right. And that's a good way to look at it. But when we're looking at it, if the world was going to be nice and everybody play fair, I would tell you, that's a great way to approach it. But at the end of the day, I know you have to cringe. I mean, I do. I cringe when somebody walks near my equipment. I mean, I like, get away from because I'm not saying it because they're going to hurt my camera. I'm thinking about lawsuits that could put me out of commission for a very long time. And so that's one of the costs. I'm just looking at cost. All right. The cost of your equipment has a value to it. And you're using that equipment to provide a service. Now, you label it as a gift. You could write it off as a gift, or that you're doing it for somebody as a favor or something in that respect. But to replace your equipment, so say if you're using that equipment exclusively to help me, and I'm in a business, and everything that you're doing with your equipment is benefiting me, wouldn't you want to recoup at least what you have in it? Claudia?
Yeah, sure. We're in the business all together helping these animals. So we're helping each other as well.
Right.
It's not like that I just go take pictures and I don't get nothing in return. It's maybe not monetary, but we're helping each other in different ways.
Right.
Everybody puts their part in. It takes a village to move a dog, and there is other benefits.
Right.
In this case.
What I'm talking about, no, I'm not talking about your dog service. I'm talking about other things that you may do. Like I use an example. You help, say if you're helping me, I'm not in that business. I'm in the photo finishing and photography business. So if you're using your equipment, I should pay you something in return for the use of your equipment. It would be almost like if I went and rented your equipment. You just happen to have it.
Yeah.
So if I'm not giving you anything, I should at least pay you for the rental of your equipment. And so with that in mind, it may be something you do in a charitable way, but there's still a cost on your behalf of the use of equipment, the use of a vehicle, and it's not so much your time, because you seem to want to freely give that. That's okay. But I'm thinking about people who are competing or try to compete in this market. And a lot of times they don't price themselves. And it doesn't do the client a favor either. It really doesn't help a client out when you don't have your pricing set that's set to the standards of what they could get if they went somewhere else. Because a lot of time a client thinks, well, I'm getting it for free, so that's got to be my best option, when a lot of times it's not the best option. Go ahead.
Yeah. Plus, I wouldn't want to go out and take pictures for families or something for free, because there's photographers out there that need to make a living, or they do make a living. And here comes, you know, a photographer that charges next to nothing and ruins everybody's livelihood because I do it on the side. So I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I had people ask me, you know, what would you charge? And since I'm not in that field and not really interested at this point right now, I'm sending them, you know, somewhere else.
Well, that's
But
good.
I wouldn't, you know, take family sessions for free and just charge them for some pictures.
Right.
Would ruin the business for everybody else.
Yeah, that's a good approach to that. Christopher, you want to add something to what Claudia's saying about, you know, well, I'm not really in that industry. I'm really not in that field, so I don't feel comfortable charging somebody for services. So she sort of just takes herself out of the loop and she just doesn't do it. And that's okay, because now you're not even in the equation. I'm talking about the person who has the equipment, but a lot of times they don't price what they do. And it not only hurts the person that's competing, but it also hurts the client as well. I mean, the client's not getting the best bang for their buck either.
Well, as you said, you know, photographers are gullible. It's down to, you know, I was thinking about copyright law, and VIP Murfreesboro magazine, they contacted me to do a job. And so I looked into them a little bit and found out that they were selling the photographs. And so I said, I'm going to need a contract for this. And they said, what for? And I said, because you're selling the photos. I'm not just taking photos for you to put them in your magazine. When you sell them, that's copyright infringement. And so you're going to have a contract. And they're like, well, we're not doing that. We didn't know that that's a problem. And, you know, and I warned them, and they still continue to do it. And one day there's going to be a photographer that's going to come after them and win for copyright infringement. To me, it's just all this stuff comes back together. As far as when I was an amateur, I didn't want to get paid for my work because I knew I was an amateur. And then when I got to the professional level, I priced myself out of it because I don't want to do amateur work, and that's what people want to pay. Right. So that's the market. And, you know, going back to the friend I had in North Carolina, I mean, he does okay work, but he prices himself really low, and he gets a lot of work based off of that. And that was not the type of work that I wanted to attach myself to. So, you know, people have come to me and they said, well, how much to do this? And I'll tell them, and well, I can get a photographer that'll do it for, you know, a fifth that price. And I'm like, can they do it this good? Because if they can, then you're getting a bargain. And sometimes they come back and say, okay, you know, you've got me. But it's few and far between, because I don't spend a lot of time marketing myself. I don't, because I have learned that there's a lot more to this than just going out, taking pictures and making money. The equipment's far too expensive. As we're talking about the insurance, just everything. I mean, just putting the wear and tear on your car. And it's just something I'll do work for somebody that I know.
Right.
And I stick to that. And beyond that, I just kind of stick to myself.
Right. You know, and that's okay. And matter of fact, that's why I was talking about, like what Claudia was saying about her choices in her life. She chooses to spend her time helping people who help animals, and she don't count that as, you know, trying to make a living at it. This is just something she enjoys doing. Now, I still would recommend she get some liability insurance, if nothing else. And Jeff, in his perspective, he probably comes in contact with the people that he knows, and of course the people we know in our guild group and people like that. And I don't think we talk about this enough in our group, guys. I think, you know, Jeff and Claudia, we probably need to talk about this something more in our group. And of course, Christopher brought up the context of copyrights. And that's a war that you don't want to be in unless you really know what you're dealing with. Matter of fact, recently I had someone bring me a VHS tape of a wedding I did back when we did them on VHS tapes. So that tells you how long that's been. And I looked at the tape and I knew right away that I had done it. I mean, I knew it was my work. And I didn't need to really see at the beginning of the tape that it says copyrighted. You know, you're in violation without proper permission from Custom Color Photo. I mean, it's all on there. And of course, I'm copying my own work, so there's no copyright problems with it. I just was thankful, one, and it's like we talked about, I'm glad the couple was still married. I mean, just from that fact, they've been married that a long, long time. And I looked at the work, Claudia and Jeff and Christopher. I looked at the work and I'm still proud of the work. I'm proud of what we did for them. I'm proud of the service I was able to provide. I was proud that I was able to hire other people to help and pay them for what they were doing. So it's a matter of your own self-pride and your own self, you know, assurance that you do a good job and you should get paid for it. And if you want to talk about it from a biblical sense, the Bible says a workman is worthy of their hire. So I think there should be some exchange in what you do for somebody. You know, whether they, you know, they shouldn't get champagne on a beer budget. I mean, matter of fact, I was talking to Claudia about that earlier. They shouldn't get champagne on a beer budget, especially if they know that you can provide them with champagne. Like Christopher just said, look, if I can supply you champagne, then you should pay me for champagne. If not, then go buy beer and go get what you want to pay for. But any case, you know, this is a topic that I enjoy talking about because I've been doing this business for over 30 years. And I can remember times that I have done what Claudia has said, to where I don't charge. Like we don't charge for families who have a death in the family and they need a copy of the person's picture for the obituary or for the newspaper or something like that. We don't charge for that at all. I don't charge if there's been a tragedy and somebody needs a picture for something to help them during this time. We don't charge for those things. We don't take advantage of people during the time of their suffering. And we just don't do that. But we do provide services now, you know, so whatever I provide as a service, then I do have a rate for that, whether it's, you know, helping you, you know, fix your camera, work out a problem with a camera, get in classes, or whatever that is. And so charging is not evil. It's not evil. It's just the way we exchange services. And most of the time you can barter with somebody. You know, if they can do something for you, then you do something for them. You know, that's like bartering. And a lot of people do that. You help me out, then I'll come and help you out. But you still need insurance. You still need liability insurance because you never know what's going on in the person's mind. Ain't that right, Jeff?
That's right. I mean, when you get down to this bartering, though, you got to get into the point where you get what you pay for too. That's what Chris said. You know, somebody else can do it for half price, but what are you going to get? I mean, we were on a family photo shoot, I guess. Some of the family had hired a girl to do a shoot, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. And they took us up to that farm up in Lebanon. It's right beside, was it Moss's? What is the name of that church? Little white church.
Oh, it's the Methodist church.
Anyways,
Cook's
Methodist. If you go by there and go back to that farm.
Yeah.
She didn't have permission to be on that farm.
Wow.
How do you
So
know that?
they told me she did.
Oh, okay.
She didn't have permission.
Okay.
And as soon as she started shooting, I was like, this woman has no clue what she's doing.
Right.
And what we got back was horrible. And everything had to be redone. The stuff that was the main stuff that was being done out of it was for an election. And it all had to be redone. So that's,
Right.
You get what you pay for. And
Yeah. At the end of the day, Jeff, you just summed it up. You do get what you pay for. Of course, you can call me if you hear this show or view this show at a later time. We do have a call-in number, 615-547-3355. If you're not live, if you're not on air, if you can't get us there, email me at lightvisionart@gmail.com. Of course, we're getting ready to come up on the final part of the show. But before we do, I want to do just a little bit of advertisement. Get rid of this cough. Of course, if you want to find Christopher E. Hamrick Photography. Of course, you can find him online at ChristopherEHamrick.com. Check out his work. As Chris just said, he provides a awesome service, and he's going to charge you for it. I'm going to tell you, but it's worth it. I mean, he does great work, as you can see from his images on the screen. And of course, if you want to be a part of what I do, go to Light Vision Art, The Educated Eye. Check us out there. We do offer tips. We offer know your legal rights. Some of the stuff we were just talking about, just knowing copyright and then knowing the laws that you can, help yourself. And of course, find out what we do. Custom color photo is a service we provide for printing, for bookmaking, for cards, gifts, calendars, wall decorations, you name it. You can get it at customcolorphoto.lifepix.com. And by all means, check us out at the Wilson County Photography Guild, WCPGonline.org. We meet the first Mondays of the month. We will be meeting at Panteros in Lebanon, Tennessee this Monday, following Monday at 6:30. Come early. You're welcome. You don't have to be a member. Come early, get you some food, and hang out with us and learn more about what we do. And of course, we provide lots of information for you as well. So I want to thank you guys for cutting in, taking some time out of your morning. But I'm going to give everybody a chance to have a final thought on what we're talking about with pricing. You go first, Christopher.
I'll make sure you're priced where you're at. Look at your work, look at professionals, and see exactly where you fit, and stand by that. That's the part of it, is having some integrity for yourself and knowing, are you new? Well, maybe you just need to, keep it simple for the time being until you get the experience. And if you've gotten to a point where you are actually holding your own, then stand by that, and don't let people try to undercut you. So just look at yourself and be fair about yourself. And the biggest thing is, when it comes to photographers, is they're usually not honest with themselves. They have such a love affair with their own work that they cannot be objective. So learn how to be objective so that you can price yourself accordingly.
Right. That's a great tip, great point, Christopher, and very well taken. Claudia, what's your final thoughts on this?
Final thoughts, I'm definitely going to look at this liability insurance, $1 million or more. Good idea. Thank you for that today, Al. And in regards of getting paid, I must say I'm not against trying it. I would really like to try some people photography, but maybe I need to pick me some family. I don't want to be taken advantage of.
Right.
So I'm going to see, if I can ask somebody, hey, would you hold still long enough for me to try a couple of family portraits, for you to maybe use on your Christmas cards or so. But it needs to come from me. I had people knock on my door, hey, would you do our family pictures? You could just take them and we take the chip and process the pictures. And I'm like, heck no. Can't do it that way, I may put this on my to-do list.
Right.
And,
I've got your chip, by the way.
I know.
I've got tips.
I know.
Claudia won't tell you, but Claudia helps me. She does some video work. She's learned how to run a video camera. She's been hanging out with some weddings that I've been doing. She does a great job. The last wedding we just did, she did fantastic on the camera. So Claudia is learning how to control that video camera, and I'm using more and more of her footage. And then she does some second shooting for me too, on some things on weddings and things like that. And don't let her fool you. Claudia is really good at what she does, and you deserve to be paid. In any
Thank
case,
you, Al.
Jeff, what about you, big guy? Final thoughts?
Yeah, you put a lot of thoughts in my head actually today. Maybe I do need to look into more insurance. You just don't think about, out in the woods that somebody could trip over your product or your tripod or whatever. But I worry more about my camera landing in a creek. So what's going to happen there? Am I out all the money of that camera, or is there insurance? I know it's just a matter of getting it. But I keep turning. I've turned several people down, and at some point in time, I've got to earn some money to pay for that camera equipment I've been buying too. So
yeah, at least cover your cost.
Yeah.
You don't have to, some people think, well, I got to make a lot of profits. No, just cover your costs.
Yeah. But, you got to be fair on your pricing. But that's,
Sure.
I kind of understand pricing. That's something I've been doing for years. I price things in the market, in the market I'm in, and the basics of pricing runs in pretty much every kind of market. So,
right, and that's a great point you make. And of course, my panel, I appreciate the panel because everybody is different. I mean, that's what you want, is diversity. You want different ideas. You want different opinions. You don't want people to come on and everybody think the same and everybody say the same thing and everybody. Look, I'm in radio, and I've done interviews with radio stations everywhere, and I've been on stations and I've talked for 2 hours and get callers, and you'd be surprised what comes out of people's when they say what they really think. And my thinking is this about doing work. People appreciate you when they see value. And value comes with, what you've invested in something, like your time, your experience, your equipment. So for the most part, the people who expect you to do something for free all the time, they don't respect your value. They don't respect what you've invested in it. They just want something for nothing. And that's the kind of thing you should try to avoid. And it's not that you're trying to become a millionaire or you're trying to, become rich. You're not going to be rich being a photographer. I don't know how many times I have to tell people that. You're not going to, I don't care how hard you work. I don't care what kind of camera equipment you buy. You're not going to be rich being a photographer. You're going to probably go hungry a lot, but you still should get paid for what you work. And of course, that's my thoughts on this. And I've been doing this a very long time and running a business, and we didn't even get into paying taxes and all that other stuff that goes along with this. That if you're out here running it as a business and you're not licensed and you're not paying your taxes, that's going to catch up with you too at some point, especially if you get in a lawsuit. Think about it. If you get in a lawsuit, they're going to dig up everything they can on you. And if you hadn't been paying your taxes, that's another ding against you in a lawsuit. So make sure that if you don't cover yourself, if you're going to get out there, make sure you cover yourself with insurance. And now warranties, that's a different thing. If you got equipment and it's under warranties, then you're probably pretty safe. But if it's out of warranty, you better probably have some insurance on that equipment too, especially if it's expensive and that's what you depend on. Like myself, I depend on my equipment for my livelihood. So we got not only liability insurance, we have insurance for all of our equipment as well. So make sure you have enough insurance on your equipment. Of course, it's been another fantastic show today. And as usual, it's been a blast with my panel. I really appreciate what they do. Jeff, of course, Claudia and Christopher. They are someone who I depend on. I really appreciate. And they will have to attest, they don't get paid for this. They don't get paid. But they enjoy coming on and helping out with the program. Maybe one day we'll all get paid, guys. You never know. But of course, I want to thank anyone that listens or views this at a later time. If you get some information out of this that you can glean and you can use, then by all means, take advantage of it, especially other people's knowledge. I've been on this earth for 54 years. I'll be 55 in December. And the older I get, the more I understand that experience, you can't replace, you can't buy it either. You can't buy experience. You just have to live it. It's something you got to live. And something you got to be willing to overcome the challenges, the heartaches, all the problems that come along with it. So, of course, Chris, thank you, sir. Claudia, thank you. And Jeff, thank you. But of course, I want to tell you, it's voting time. Go vote. We're going to have a new president. God help us. But God bless America. God bless you guys.